Hey, what's up guys? On today's video, we're gonna make another CRM demo using Next.js. So let me give you a brief summary for this project. That's the thing that we are gonna to do. Okay, the first of all, we're gonna have a scale stack. We're gonna use Next.js and Tailwind CSS and Shadcn and Typescript. And maybe you guys never heard of Shadcn. If you guys are really interested in Shadcn, you guys can have a look at this website, ui.shadcn.com, which is like very beautiful UI, and it's very similar like the UI in Notion pad. Okay, and on this project, I'm gonna build two pages. First one is login page. In the login page, we're gonna use we're gonna save login inform in memory, and also we do that on local storage as well to have persistence data. And we are going to have username and password verification, and we're gonna check if user is logging already, and if they come back to this URL, which is like login page, we're gonna redirect user to the home page. And on the home page, we are going to check if user is logged in or not. If user hasn't logged in yet, we're gonna return user to this page to ask user to log in. And of course, home page user gonna have like a lockout button. Let me just show you here. As you can see, user, we can click here on the right top, and we can click here. We can see some users inform, like username that I just log in, and we can have lockout button here. And home page navigation. Currently we're on home page now. We have some sidebar menu. We can do some navigation, which is at the moment we only have agents and the setting page, and on the setting page is blank now, because like mainly I want to show you guys is like on this page, on this table, and how to create and edit users. So we are going to show agents on table, like here, like agent's name, agent status, and the other functions. And then we can create edit agents. We're gonna have like if we create an agent or edit agent, we're gonna have a model pop out, and then we can type in username, set status, and then we can create. Same as edit, we can edit users. If we click users, we can have like username and status by default, and then we can update status. Okay, and we can have like user this model verification, like if we have like user not putting anything, it's empty, we create, it's gonna get a warning say enter a name, minimum length 1. Okay, and we're gonna manage state. We're gonna manage global state is called React by React create React context. And for the persistent data storage, we're gonna store that in local storage. And in this project, we are not gonna do anything related to backend. We are not gonna fetch API. Yeah, we just do everything in front end. Okay. Before I dive in actually to code, I want to thank you to my my friend Jing and Lao Jian for supporting for this project and helping with this video. Okay, let's dive in, have a look. So to get started, I'm gonna create a folder. Let's see, and let me get a bigger. We open a terminal here, and if we go to the Shadcn, we're gonna follow the document to create a project. So that's installation. We're gonna use framework Next.js. Yeah, we copy this to create next app latest, and the app name. I say Shadcn demo. Shadcn, let's say Next.js. Let me get that a bit bigger so you guys can see that. So create next app and project name called Next.js Shadcn demo with Typescript, Tailwind, ESLint. Hit enter. You like to use src? No, we want to use like app directory straight away. App router, yes, no, and it's installing in dependencies now. Let's wait for it. And then the next step after we've done that, okay, it's done now. It's like success, and we're gonna install Shadcn UI. So before we install that, make sure we go into that directory. Go Next.js Shadcn demo. Yeah, we are on this we're on the project now. So we're gonna install the UI. So Typescript, yes, and they provide two themes. So we're gonna just go for default, and base color slate, and a global CSS, yes, and CSS variable, and yes, tailwind, yes, yeah, and using server components, yes. Okay, it's get done successful now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna we get that step done. So I think we are able to look at the project structures. Okay, let's open our editor. I'm using VS Code, so I can just type code and a dot to open it. Let me just close the terminal. So let's look at the editor. Let me zoom in for a little bit. So yeah, we have the app directory, which is like main entrance for Next.js 13, and we mentioned that we have that video about that on my previous video. If you guys are interested in more basic stuff on Next.js, you can look at that video. I'm gonna leave the link below. So we have app directory, we have component directory, which is empty at the moment. We have like library, which is like something which is generated by Shadcn UI, and then we have public and node module, and the components. That's what we have set up earlier. The default thing we select default style, and with tailwind or stuff. And next env next config, I'm gonna leave that all as default, and post CSS, the readme file, and tailwind ts. And we're gonna look at the package JSON here. We have some script here where DV to develop project and build and start, which means like after you build a project, you can start it on your local machine, and then ESLink. And then we have some dependencies here. Okay, so let's look at the document here. So we went through app structure, and we can try the UI now. We can add the button. Let's copy that. Add the button UI. So yeah, we got button UI now. So we're gonna try that. Let me just move that. And there. Okay, so let me just commit that then. Let's say init first commit. So we'll go to app directory. Down here, this is our main page. Let's add the button here. We need to import that. Okay, we import that from component UI button. As I mentioned earlier, the component directory was empty, but after we run this add button, so it automatically generates a file and the component. It's in the UI folder. It's called button. Basically, it's like it wrapped the Radix UI to it. This is the second layer, so it's just their customized Radix UI. So we can use that directory. So we can use the button. So let's run the project. npm run db. Let's say it's port 3000 is in use because the demo one was on 3000, so it's automatically change that to 3001. Let's check that. Local 3001. Let's move that. Okay, as you can see, we have a button here now with the Shadcn UI, which is beautiful. So next thing, what am I gonna do? Let's check that. So we are going to have two pages, which one is login, the other one is home page, okay, we just create these two pages first then. So to create a page, we can just create a folder under app. Let's say this is home page, and page tsx. So let's say this is a layout for that's a login layout. This is login page. Let's change that to login page. And create React. we can do it like that, and then this is page. So this is home page. And outside the home page, we have layout page, and maybe we can copy that. Maybe just copy whole file. We need to have a layout page on the home page. So layout, let's move something that I don't need. Not now. This is the home layout. Home layout. This is, let's say, so home layout, home page, and login layout, login page. Let's check that. Let's just move the button for now. As you can see, we are on login layout, login page, and then we can go to home. It's going to be like home layout, home page. Oh, of course, obviously we are gonna it's gonna be login layout too, because it's like this is the root. I can just move that. Okay, we have two pages. And let's just focus on login page. Let's get some these functions done. So user login. So we're gonna save like memory, save like login info in memory and local storage. So let me close something that I don't need. So what I need is a login page. So login page is it's gonna be a form. We have a login form. Let me just, in login page we have a form with the input username, password, and to sign in. Okay, let me just I copy some code from my project. Oops. As you can see, we got we've done some, like we have some tailwind CSS, which is like, I just copy that, and we can login account, enter your password, and that's the form. And we don't have the form yet, so let's see if that's shows on the page. Yeah, as you can see, we have that now, and we need to focus on the form. We're gonna create a form called user auth form. So we're gonna, the form is gonna be a component we create inside component file, inside a component folder. So we're gonna have a file called tsx. Oh yeah, functional pro. Okay, user auth form. Let me see. We need to import that, and we import that, and we're gonna use this component. As you can see, we've got a user auth form. Okay, we're gonna focus on that now. And user auth form. So we need a form. If we check at this Shadcn, we can see some demo here. Let's say I want to go form. as you can see, we can just forward, like we need to install this form UI, this form, and we need to create a schema, and which is use dependency called sort, and which is like just create a template for like for validate data, for data validation. And we're gonna define a form, and it should work. And that's like let's do that. Let's follow the instruction here. So we need to install that. Install the form, and yes. Okay, and as we can see, we got a form in our UI folder here, which we just created, and we try that. We try this, and we try this. We're gonna use client because it's gonna be a client side component. We define a schema, and that to string that has to be minimum length of 2 and the maximum length of 50. And we're going to define a form. So define a form. So in a function, so I define my form, and define my submit handler. Let's import that. That's the use form hook, and the sort resolver. Let me just. And here we're going to build a form. We import that components, and we'll see if we can use this. Return. Okay, need a button component and an input component. We don't have an input now, so just add input. Select the component not found. Let me check that. Input is lowercase input. It looks good now. There's no error. So let's see on our page. It look good. We have username. Let's say 123. See if we can get the result. As you can see on here, we console log the values. Yeah, we can get values here now. So this phone looks good so far. So I need to adjust that for a bit, for customize it for a bit, for better to suit my project. So I starting from schema here. Oops. From schema here. So apart from username, I'm going to have password here too. And if that's the error, that's gonna show this message here. So message on the page. So we have schema. Then we're gonna need to define a form. So this looks good. We have a default and a default value and a default username, and we have a default password, which is the empty string too. And I define my on submit. I'm gonna leave it for empty now. And next I want to do is adjust a bit of my input, and that's gonna be username and password. Field. That's the loading. We can just leave it for now. And apart from input, we have apart from username, we have a password. Okay, we have two fields. One is a username, one's for password. And then let's solve the problem for loading. We get a state of loading state. It means like if that's loading, so we are not able to have input. Use phone, let's say here. Gonna import use state. Okay, that's beautiful here. We have username, password, and if we submit, you have the error because like we have defined the error message here. Username must be 5 and password must be 8. So because we developing now, so we just say that to 1. Okay, so when we submit, and we're supposed to pass the data to backend, which is what we are not going to do today. We're going to do everything in front. So for now, we can just direct to home page. So we can use a hook called use router hook, which is from Next navigation. We import that router when that submit, so we have that push to home. Let's see if that works. So if we're not typing anything, that's error. It's not gonna call on submit, and we need to pass the valid inform. Then we hit submit. It directs us to home page. That's good. We have the login page. So next one I wanted to do is before we do next one, let's check that we have a user login. It's not in memory or storage yet. User login verification, yeah, we have done that. And I want to do like in the memory and the local storage as well. So the reason why I want to do that in local storage because we can save the data in local. Like for instance, we can remember if user is logged in or not. If user is not logged in, so and if user going to whole page, we can check that user status. If that's not logged in, we can direct user to login page. Or user is already logged in. If user just go on this login page, we can redirect user to home page, which is one of our tasks. If login, go to home page. If not login, go to login page. That's the 2 tasks we need to complete. So that's the reason why we need to store data in local. Okay. So for now, let's do a commit. Say this is done homepage, login page. Done login page validation. Okay, so we're gonna move on. We are going to have use React context, which is we're gonna use that for a global data management, data state. So what we need to do is we need to create a. I'm gonna create a folder called context under app. So this is gonna be context. In a context, we call it store. No, that's supposed to be a tsx. So in here, we're gonna create a global context provider, which is that we're gonna pass everything, like all component is under this provider, and this provider manage data and state. So what we need to do is, let me just create a code here. So we're gonna use like create context, which is from React, and we defined a type. So define type. Define a use context. That's the default value. The user has username and the login status, and the two methods to set username and set login. Then we're going to have this component called global context provider. In the provider, we can return global context provider. So this is gonna take everything, every component, every React component. So it's a children here. So here we need to provide a value. So let's say value because this is missing the following property from context pro. We need to have all these properties. Let's say we have a default state for login and the username. We can have is login and set login, set state, use state. That's the is login default is false, and that's for username, and set username. So we pass the value here. So we have this. We have these default values. let's say if I got oh no, before, yeah, we got that, we have provider, and we need to export this provider. We can create we can use context. We can wrap it as a hook. Let's say export const use global context. That's gonna be use context, and then that pass the global context. So let's check that if that works. So let's say if we have a default username, let's say Michael, okay, and we need to put everything in the provider. Let's go to our root, which is layout. Okay, we're gonna wrap this in a provider. What's the name? This global provider from store, yeah. What's the problem? Let's check that. You are importing component that need use state is only work on client component, but note what that is the mark with use client. Let's see. So this has to be client component, use client. Because this we use state. The error go away. So we have a children. We wrap everything, and we wrap everything inside the provider. So we are going to consume data. Let's say because we need to see the username in home page. Let's say home page. Let's say on home layout. We're gonna import that. We're gonna import the hook called use global context. So in order we can consume the data. So that's the object. So we have a username, and it's login, all stuff. We just check username, home layout. Let's say h1 username. Let's see homepage. Oops, use context. I think same error again because this is a hook, so that has to be that has to be client component. So use client. Okay, look, we have default value Michael here. Let's change that to something else. Check that. Let's say hello world. Yeah, we can get the value from React context. So I change that to default. So what we want to do is when user has logged in, we save the user data in context, and so we move to home page, and we show the user's name on home page. And so what we're going to do is we are going to login form, which component login form. So once user has logged in, submit the form, and we need to save the data in memory. So so what we can do is we can say we can consume the data, use global context, and that's so we have username is login, set username, set is login. So here we can say set username equal to values and the username, and the set is login to true, right? And on submit, because like we're gonna have a effect. We have some loading spinner, so we can say set loading to true, which is local loading, which is like here, which is local one, and that's global one. This is global one. So set. So maybe we can do like in general, we're gonna fetch the data from backend, which is gonna be maybe gonna take some time. So what we can do is then we can simulate that. We can do set timeout. Let's say for 1 second. So we set user login, and we set loading user login to true, and direct to home page. Let's see. So let's say username, soy Mikey, and the password, and submit. Oh, because it's not loading here, we need to change the button here. Let me just copy the code from my project. We have some button. The button that check if it's loading, if that's loading. So we have a spinner, and that's signing. That's supposed to have the test called signing. Okay, before we do anything, we just fix this icon spinner. I'll just copy the code because this is the SVG. This SVG that's an object. That's a object have a key called spinner, and then that return a element. And so let's just import that. And the signing is a const. So I copy a const here. We have some const called signing, online, offline, some create, edit, create. All const we declare here, so we can just import that. So sign in from our const. Let's see that again. We have a login now. We have a let's login. When I hit the login button, it's supposed to have a spinner, and it's gonna wait for 1 second, and then move us to home page. Let's do that. It's loading and the home page. We can see username here. Let's say, and on home page, on layout. Yeah, we have of course we can see username because this is the global context. Yeah, so we have created global context with React context, and another one is like because we need to remember user status, and React context, they only keep your status in memory. So we want to have persistent status, and because if you save the data in memory, when you go to this URL, you reload the this project, all data has gone, all data in memory has gone, so we can't really remember user data. So we can use local storage. Okay, let's close everything. So if you guys familiar the local storage, we have some method like set item, get item, and remove and clear. So on utils here, and we can have some 4 different methods for local storage, which I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here because we are gonna focus on some other functions on this project. So I just copy the code from my my project. So this is a library utils. Okay, let me just quickly go through that. We have set item, we have storage, set item, get item. We need to make sure that's on the client side, on the client side, because in the server side we don't have local storage this method, and we have a remove item and clear. So in order to set data to the local storage, what we can do is when user has login successful, then we have set item. All right, it's set item to local storage, and set item like username, set item is login to get data here. Like when we log out, we do the same, we remove that data from local storage. So there's actually another way to do that. What we can do is we can go to context. We can listen here if like this data or this data has changed, we set that to local storage. It's like this is gonna be same data as global context. So what we can do is we can use effect. So this is set item, which is like set is login equal to is login. And we need to listen to that. Listen to is login and username. So let's try that. Let's try that if they gonna store in our local storage. In a moment is they just clear everything. So in default, look, in default we got false, and its login is false, and the username is empty string, and that listen to that, and that also set the local storage. So they basically the global state and the local storage, they sync together. Let's say password 1 2 3 4 5. Let's log in. Take 1 second. Here, as you can see, local storage, the data has changed. Login is true, and the username. Okay, we have that. So we have the data in local storage. We have the data in the memory. So here we can check that user login, that's done, right? That's done. So we need to check this. If on login page, if that's login, we can just direct user to home page, and we do that. Then after that, we're gonna do that on home page. If user not login, we direct user to login page. Okay, we're gonna do that. If user login, go to home page. So in here, we can use layout effect, which is like it run before use effect. It's just like when the page is loading, this hook is like it's invoked earlier than use effect, because we want to get the result as quick as possible. So so instead of that, we get item, all right? Get item is logging, right? We can get the result. Instead of doing that, we have other way to do that. Let's just remove that. We can get the result when page is loaded. So on the context here, we can get a default value from local instead of doing that. Let's say so init, let's say init glow init is logging get item is logging here is logging. If logging is empty, that's gonna be, we're gonna do that as a false. And the same as like get username, so we're gonna pass that into use state as a default value. So we have that. Now we are on the user authentication form. We're going to use a layout effect. So we say if user's login is true. Do we have its login here? Yeah, it's login. If let me just it's login. If its login is true, so we can push the to home page. Let me just import that. Right, like when we load the login page, and before we load in the project, right, we are initial the data from local storage to global, and when we then it's gonna render this user form, and before it actually render, it actually like check that if user is logging already, so user doesn't need to log in anymore, so it just push user to home page. Let's check that. Let's clear, and then we're going to home, that's login page. So we log in. Now we got new data. So if user go into login page again, it should be redirect to home page, as you can see here, because we have the data. We have data on local storage. Beautiful. So we have complete another task. Which is if login, go to home page. And we're gonna do that here. If not login, go to login page. So close everything. So we're going to home page. So home page, we're going to use a home page. Actually, we are going to on layout instead, because like if user hasn't logged in, so we're going to push user back to the login page. So we have the, let's say, is login. Here we use layout effect, import the hook and the router. If not login, push that to home to login page. And router. Let's check that. So we are at login status now. Oops, what's going on? Let me just. Okay, we're on home page now because we are already logged in. So if we clear data, which means we're not logging anymore, so we reload the data, we reload the project, it should take me back to login page. Yes, you can see that we are not able to stay in home page because we are not logged in. Great. We have done that. So let me just make another commit. Complete login control. Okay, so far so good. We have login, we have like authentication, we have the loading while we logging in. So next, let's look at this list. Next, we are going to do a user logout instead of like manual clear data from dev tool. We can do have a logout button to clear data. So it's going to be on home page. We're going to have a user navigation like here, and oops. We're having a user navigate here, and we will click that. We're going to have a lockout button here. Okay, we are going to do that now. So on home page, we are going to have a user navigation from components. User navigation. Let's see if that works. Import that. Let's say, okay, we don't need that. We have user nav now. So what we're going to do in user nav, we're going to have drop down menu. On drop down menu, we can have something like similar like this. When we click the head, we can have a drop down menu. We have a lockout button. So we need to install that. drop down menu. So on here I'm gonna import all necessary stuff like global context, avatar, and the drop down menu. How can I take already is fixed. It should work, and we need to have an avatar, because on the here we want to have a avatar UI. Just avatar, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna copy the code from my project. We're gonna go through that. This is just a component that we have just installed. It's a drop-down menu. We have a trigger. It's a button. In the button, we have avatar, the image, right? And we have a username when users log in, and from login page, and when they direct to home page, it's gonna show username. And we have a drop-down content. In the drop-down content, we show users name, users like that's the fixed text, like username example.com, and we have a couple selections like drop-down menu group. In drop-down menu group, we have drop-down menu item. In the item, we can have like profile. I just name it as developing. And at the end, we have a lockout button, which is we're gonna have this function called lockout. And we have a logout function, and then we need to import user from global. Here we go. We have a user, and we have a user. Let's see. Drop down menu cannot be resolved. Maybe we didn't install that properly. Let me just remove that and install that again. Oh yeah, it's done now. So let me see if that works. What's the problem? Use global context, like you have to be client component. Okay. Use a client component. Let me see. Use nav. We use nav in the, and use nav is in home page. As you can see, we are what it says, use context, use not. Okay, use client. What's going on? Okay. Okay, we have a user icon here, so you can click user. We have a user or stuff username, and or drop down items, and then logout. logout button, we need to have some function. We need to have some. We need to do something on logout. So in a logout, we need to set its login to false, and set user name to empty, and the router, we need to push that to login page. So let me instead of push, we're gonna replace the URL. So we're on home page. I don't know what's going on. So on home page here, so if I click Lockout, it's gonna take us back to login page, and if we're going to home page, it's gonna redirect us to login account. So beautiful. Let me just check that. Logout, user logout. Yeah, we have user logout function available now. The next one I wanted to do is the home page navigation. Let's check our on this. We have on the left hand side, we have agents, and I have settings. That's the home page navigation. We're gonna do that. Before I do that, I want to make a commit. User add user logout. Done. MB. So we're gonna do this too. Let's log in. So close everything. So we on the home page, we are going to on layout, because it's like this menu exists on every page in the home page. So maybe you have settings or configuration, everything. So this is part of layout. So on layout, we're gonna have like a navigation, sidebar navigation. Let's say, let me remove that. So we're gonna have a sidebar navigation component and the sidebar navigation items. Let me just import that. Sidebar navigation items type. We haven't defined that yet, so let me just copy that from my work. That's the agent type and the sidebar navigation type. We have sidebar navigation here, so everything is good. Yeah, so we are going to create sidebar navigation. So, and we create a file, sidebar navigation. Sidebar navigation. I copy the code from my project. So we have a navigation. It's gonna map through the data we have passed from parents component, and it create a link, and it show the titles. Let me just cn. This is the method from util. link, next link. And then we're gonna use the hook called use path name. Okay, let's see if that works. Does the sidebar navigation? We're gonna pass that component. As you can see, we have that navigation bar here, and we have an agent, which is homepage, and a setting, which is like a setting. It directs us to setting page, but at the moment we don't have setting page. Let's create one. Let's say setting and the page. So we just have some empty thing in there. Let's say setting page to like page developing. So that's supposed to be settings, sorry. Yeah, as you can see now, we have a home page and a setting page. Here we have another task, home page navigation. That's done. And what I want to do is next is I want to show the data on the table. Like here, we have a data, a list of agents on the table, which show the icon and the avatar and the name and status, which we're gonna do it now. Let me just commit the add home page nav. So table is on here, home page. So we're gonna have some default value, which is like agent list. We need to import that global const. Okay, so table. We're going to have a table. Let's say table here. As we're going to do a similar table like here. We can use the code here. So instead of using the code, I'm gonna use the code from my project. So we need to download table. You get that table downloaded, and then import the import components. And get that import component tables. So you can just like copy that and modify that to your style. And I'm going to do here we have a table, body. Then on the table body, we're gonna loop through agent list, and on each agent list is a table row. On the table row, we have couple of cells. We have a cell for avatar, we have a cell for agent name and agent status, and a cell for a button to edit. Let's comment that out for now. And the avatar, we can import that image. and that's a fallback, and that's agent list. We need to create that. So we have a default value here, default global agent list. So we use that as a value. Okay, agent list. Let's check that out. Let's go for it. As you can see here, we have an avatar, and we have a name, a status. Let me change some UI. Avatar. Oh no, we are not importing from here. We're importing from our component UI avatar. As you can see, so far so good now. We have a table. We show data on table. Okay, we've done that. Show tables, show agents on table, and the next one we need to create a button called create agent, and a button to edit agent. When we click the button, it's gonna pop out a modal, so we can do editing, create, update, and we're also gonna do on data verification on the on creating agent or editing agent. Okay, we have a here. Then we're gonna have we need a modal. In Shadcn we have it doesn't have a mode. It doesn't call modal. It has dialog. It's like this. When we click the button, it's gonna pop out a window, a modal. We can justify. So we just follow the instruction to install the dialog. Oops. Then it's gonna import the necessary components, and that's the outer layer is a dialog. In the dialog, we have a dialog trigger, which is you can define your buttons here. And the dialog content, in the content you have header and a description. Beautiful here. So let me just add dialog to my project. So instead of having a dialog here, we separate dialog. We wrap it as a component called agent form, because this component is gonna deal with everything related to agent, like creating an agent or editing an agent. So that's gonna take a text button. For instance, we have a create here, we have an edit here. That's edit, right? And it passed the probe. It's edit, that's true, and this edit, that's false, because this is create. Let me comment that out for now. So we're gonna have a component called agent form. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, agent form. We're gonna spend quite a bit of time here because this form is gonna dealing with a lot of stuff, and before doing anything, we're gonna define the probes. It's gonna be a text. It's going to be a button text, and is added. Let's say let's print out the button text. What's going on here? Agent phone is not defined yet. We need to import that. Let's see in our project. I don't know why this is text errors keep coming. I think it's because I install the UI, and in order to run properly, I need to restart the project. But we just leave it for now. I think we can edit here, user agent. Yeah, then we're gonna spend some time in user agent form. So that's gonna be dialog, lots of the components. Let's import that. And we have like trigger, dialog content. Let me just copy some from my code. Okay, we need to import button. I don't think I have installed that. We have button already. What's going on? We have a button. Let me just remove that for now. This is the control of the model. And we have a const, simple const. Let's check that when we have a model, it should show, it should check if that's edit. So on the title, it's gonna show edit. Otherwise, it's gonna show create agent. Let's say, so we have a button trigger here is a button. We check that it does edit, and it has a outline style, and otherwise stay default. As you can see, this is like create agent, so it's on the title it show create agent, and the edit it show edit. So in create, we need to have a form here, and with the name field and the status field, and have a button called create. So we have a header. So in the contents, we need to have a form. This form is like the form we had in login page, which is that we need to create schema. We need to create a form. Then so when we've done both of that, then we can use the form. Okay, we're gonna do the same. We need to create a schema. Okay, let me import that. So observe we have a name and status. So the minimum length is gonna be 1. That's the name validation. And as for status validation, you have to select a status. So we have form, and we're gonna initiate form. So in form, this is same as the login form before. We done that same before. So we're gonna use form resolver, and resolver take the form schema. And in default value, so as we know, when we edit, we need to pass the agent's data into model. On the create agent, we need to pass like maybe empty object or username with the empty string. So we need to pass agent here. We take agent, we pass agent here. So agent name, we don't have an agent, we never pass the agent here. We need to pass agent. Okay, so we have an agent. So we're gonna build the form. In content, form, we need to import that form. Okay, we have a form, and we have a on submit, and just the name is submit. We are not going to do anything now. And we have an input. Do we have an input UI here? Yes. No, not from post. From UI, yes. And is there gonna be a name of the name is name is here from default value. Let's check that. Great, we have a name field, and apart from name field, we have a status field. On status, as you can see, it's not an input, its status is a selection. So if we selection, yeah, we need to install selection. Get that installed. In selection, we have selection trigger and the selection content, selection items. So we need to import selections. Form field, that's input form field. That's the selection form field name as status. The form item, we have a label called status, and we have a trigger called select a status, and the select items. Select item online, offline. And at the end, we have a button. I have a submit button. So in the we have a button. If that's edit mode, it's gonna call update, and otherwise it's gonna call create. and it's gonna use spinner, and I also have loading loading status. Let's just create one. So in here we have a loading. So far so good. Let's see if that works. Use agent, yeah, we can type in a name, and the default is select a status. And then let's check the validation. If we don't put the name and we don't put status, let's say we're gonna create, and they say error, you need to be minimum one length of 1. And let's say length couple, and status, you need to set a status. When we get a status, the error go away. Then we can use create. And when we hit the create, that this model is supposed to be closed. And same as edit. Edit has default value and a default status from agent, which is passing as a prod from parent. And so far so good. And now we need to handle on commit. Okay, on commit, as we've done that before from login form. In commit, we take value here. So on commit, so loading gonna be, in general, gonna be like when we submit something, we pass data to backend. It's gonna take some time to get response back. So we say set loading to true, and we need to close this model. So in order to close that, we can hit this button, or we can control this button by giving a state. Let's create a state here called open, and set open. We can add this controller, this probes to dialog. So when we add it, we can say set open to false. That means we can close the model by ourselves. And when we get that, we need to pass out data to parent component. So parent component gonna take care of to change the data, to create the data, to update data. So we're gonna have a own agent handler, which is like from parent. Okay, we're going to have this function from parent. So we have a on agent handler. It's gonna have this function. Which is gonna take data back. Let me just print out data. So we need to pass in this. We define this method and passing as a probe. So when we click submit, we're gonna call this function. So this is gonna pass in the data. So data gonna be agent, gonna be a values. So because this value only contains username and status, the agent has ID and the agent has avatar. So we have agent Okay, we passed out to the parent component, and in parent component it logged data. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can get a data from child component. This problem we're gonna fix that later, and we're going to have a, let's say we'll create a name called 123, and that's online. As you can see, we can get a data here. We can get a data back from child component and print it out on dev tool. So what we're gonna do is that when we get a data, we need to check if the data is like is from new agent or from the agent that already exists. So what we can do is we can check by agent ID, because the new agent, it doesn't come with the ID, and the old agent, existing agent, that already come with the default ID already. So we can tell if that's editing mode or edit or create mode by ID. So if that's if that is edit, so we're gonna have like a new data override with the old data, and if else, it's gonna be create. In the create, we need to generate ID. We need to have a default avatar URL. We have a data to create a new user, and append that to the list, to the agent list. So let's say, what if we say create, right? So create, that's gonna take data. Let's have a create function to take care. Oops. Let's create function to take care of here, and let's say create a data, right? Then we have the ID, create a random UUID, and we're gonna have a avatar URL, which is that we have a default avatar URL. Then we have an agent, which is from data. That data contain name and status here. We have a data here. Then we have a ID, and we have a avatar URL. Then we're gonna set a new array list. Set a new agent list. That take the old one and then pass in with the new one. Let's see if that works. Create agent, let's say 123, and that's data online. As you can see, we get a new agent append to the agent list. So we're gonna take care of edit. Create an edit function to take care of the action. So let's say function edit. So in edit, we need to find out what's the index in the array. So we get index agent list find index. So that's agent, and agent ID equal to data ID, because we have passed out the ID and user nav no here. We are on agent form here. As you can see, we have passed out agent, whole agent, everything about agent here, pass out to parent. But in the parent here, as you can see, we passing the all agent details, including agent ID. So we are able to get agent ID here. So we find out the index. So we're gonna update the data. We're gonna update the agent. So agent list index equal to agent list index. We need to expand that and get new data in there. So a problem. Let me. Oh yeah, we don't say comps here. So we get a set agent list. That's gonna be we're gonna expand agent list. Let's see if that works. And let's below that and edit. Let's say it's Michael now. Say 1 to 1 2 3, and it says change state to offline. As you can see, the data has changed. Oh, that loading. We need to fix that. Let's fix loading first. User phone. We pass out. We pass out the data. Loading to true. We need to set that to false. So normally we get a set timeout. So 1 second. So set loading to false. Let's say it's update here, and then let's say 1 2 3 offline up 1 second, and then it closed it, and it's not loading anymore. And the gray, we have create and edit. That's beautiful. And with that, actually a problem here. Let me just show you. If we create an agent, right, and then let's say Jack, and offline we create it, and we have a Jack. If we have create another agent, as you can see, the old name exists. We don't want it to be exist. We want it to be like a brand new one. We don't want anything here. We don't want anything here. So what we can do is we can set the form. Let's say if the form is like is closed, so we set the data in the form. So we can use effect, and if not open means that's closed. So we can form reset, and then we pass that in. We can listen to these two data. Let's see if that works now. Let's say we say Jack, right, and I get online data. So we create a new agent. As you can see, that's a new one, because when we close that, and the form is reset. Beautiful. We have create and edit. Let's make this commit. Add, create and edit to agent tables. For this problem, I actually find out a solution on GitHub. I saw a guy having the same problem that is having a warning here to expect HTML to contain a much in div. So basically, I got a solution here. That I think it's because that the code is like supposed to run in the client side, should not run on the server side. So what we can do is that we can get the code inside the use effects, so that make sure the code is running in client side. So what we can do is on context here, instead of running this on server side, we can wrap it up in the client side. So we can use instead of use effect, we use layout effect, because this involve earlier than use effect. So we get that, and this is gonna be default gonna be false, and that's the empty string. So in here we're gonna set its login, the init is, and I set username. We're gonna say init username. Here we go. Let's see if that's still running. If that can remove the, that removed the error here, and on util here, and instead of doing that, I think we can remove that, because this get item is definitely gonna run on client side. We don't need to check before we get this API. Okay, that's pretty much come to the conclusion of this video. We actually almost like 2 hours, and we have go through Next.js, Tailwind CSS, which is that we don't actually talk too much about that, and we have quite a lot of ChartCN and the Typescript. We have done all this function login, user login in memory, and also on local storage to have persistence data. And we have username and password verification. We have login verification, and that's login verification too, and the user logout, homepage navigation, and the agent table, and create or edit agent, and create edit data verification, React context, and local storage. I'm gonna leave the code. I'm gonna push the code to GitHub. If you guys like this code, you can drag it down, clone it, and you can do some modification. Okay, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, please subscribe and leave some comment if you guys have any problem. And I'll see you guys on next video. Bye now.